Hey, welcome back. Jeannie Lynch coming to you. First video of 2019. Welcome to my community. So happy you're here today. Hey, we're going to dive right in. I'm going to absolutely come clean with you to an infliction or a disorder or a syndrome that I have had my entire life. I want to talk about it today on my channel. I want to heal it on my channel. I want to give tips if you too. And I work with many of you, so let's talk about it. We're going to talk about today the fear of failure, also what I call rotten tomato syndrome. Curious what that is? Stay watching. My sense is we all have it. Let's dive in. Hey, thanks for staying watching. We're talking about rotten tomato syndrome, also known as fear of failure. And I think it's safe to say that we all have some element of fear of failure. Some people take it to the extreme, and some people, don't take any extreme to it. In fact, that's their infliction, right? I want to talk about it today. I want to have a beautiful discussion. I want to give you tips. I want to ask you questions, and I want you to partake. I want to admit to you, too, that this is something I struggle with. I do it even on my YouTube videos, okay? I'm doing my video production day, and I will sit for 5 hours on a 2-minute video and do 32 clips. None of them are right. Finally, I give in, right? I get it. I understand it. I know what a burden it can be. How do we find balance with that? What is the difference between wanting to be the best expression of ourselves and doing things the best that we can do them, and always training and working and being best, but also finding the balance in that for just accepting what is? And then let's go to the other side of that, right? We don't take risks. We stay in the safe zone. We allow people to walk all over us. We're insecure, right? So these are all the things that happen when you have RTS, rotten tomato syndrome. Can we stay talking about it? So let's do that. I'm going to ask some questions, just a couple, and just see if this resonates or lines up with you, or if it sounds like you. Okay. Like I said in my little opening there, do you do things? Are you a perfectionist? That's the first question. Do you worry? Do you have anxiety? Are you worried when you turn in a paper? Are you worried when the boss is going to call on you? Have you ever been asked in a meeting to speak up and they'd like to hear your opinion on a new process that they have in your corporation, and your hands get all clammy and your heart starts to palpitate? How about even when you know you're prepared for a meeting and you get nervous because you're not sure you articulate and say it in the right way? We all innately want to be, and we want to be seen. And I don't think social media helps us. We're so accessible. Thumbs up, like it, sad face, give a comment, respond. We're always putting ourselves out there, right? YouTube does that. We do it on social media all the time. Always looking to get that engagement of the conversation. So I understand that. I just want to acknowledge that in you, and I want to say I think we all have that. So today I want to break down maybe some stories and some tips and maybe some charges for you that I hope will heal this. And then I'd love your input. I'd like to hear, how do you deal with this? What do you do in your life? So let me share my stories. Okay. First example is how important it is when you have the fear to fail to take risk, to do things you've never done before. So here's a great thing, and write this down. How do you know you're expanding? You're doing something you've never done before. So if you are not willing to take risks, then guess what? You're never going to expand. You just can't. You will stay in that little container of yours, and good luck with that. Because we all grow innately, right? So when Michael and I met, we actually agreed in our relationship that we were going to try different things, and we were always going to be open to it. So the only answer was always yes, especially if it was something we've never done. And let me tell you, that first year of being together, we did some pretty wacky things. Mike will tell you. Things we've never done. Well, we sang for What's Alive Inside. I should probably mention we can't sing. And we did drum circle. He tried yoga. I tried to hike Mount Mansfield. That was a journey. So every time we were doing those things, we were doing it together, especially in our new relationship. Our relationship and the foundation of our relationship was really expanding and immense. Okay, so that's just my first story and tip to you. So how about this? Write down, let me know below, comment, whatever you want. Can you be responsible for, in the next week, to do absolutely one thing that you've never done before? Can you give that some mindfulness, and you can think about what that is? And more importantly, here's my charge for you. Put it on your damn calendar. You will not do it unless it sits on your calendar, and you won't be accountable to yourself unless you can see it. Okay, so trust me on that. I know from experience. Okay, so the next question I have around you RTSs, you Rotten Tomato Syndrome people, me being one of them, do you stay in the safe zone? Do you get comfortable? Do you like routine? Is doing things different for you off your routine a big challenge for you? So my antidote for that is to be spontaneous. A woman comes to mind. I remembered working with her on the employment side of my spiritual practice, and she was really frustrated. She had been through like 4 jobs in 2 years, and she, had lots of conflict and lots of frustration with the people that she was working with, because no one worked as hard as she did, and she knew more than most. And it was interesting when I listened to her problem. I really uncovered, or we uncovered together, that what she really was she was underemployed. She wasn't stepping into a higher position or taking a risk by applying to the boss's boss, the one who was interviewing her, that job. So with a little bit of coaching and a little bit of nudging, she absolutely did apply. Instead of applying for the entry-level position, she went up 2 grades. Last I heard, she's still working for the company. It's been over 10 years, and she's a satisfied employee. That's a beautiful ending. So the point is that she had this fear of failure. So she just kind of came in small, stay small, and then she wouldn't have to worry and she wouldn't fail, right? So that's another aspect. Self-sabotaging too. If you're in a relationship and you're looking to see how much that person loves you, and so you do things because not going to go take the 3rd date because the 2nd date, you just don't take that risk. Self-sabotaging is another example of somebody who is taking has Rotten Tomato Syndrome. Stop that. Okay, take risk. Okay, and then the last charge is a really big one, and I hope you will do this, because anyone that I've ever given this advice to has had an amazing experience by doing it, but it takes guts. Are you ready? I want you to find somebody in your experience who, let's say, either reviews you if you're working, or is over you in some way. Maybe you look up to that person, someone just above you, and don't take that so detailed, So here's what I want you to do. I want you to ask that person this question, especially because we're looking at 2019. The slates are clean. We're trying to be the best expression of ourselves, right? The question is this. As you assess me and as you look at me and my work, I was wondering, is there anything that you could give me that would maybe be some negative feedback that I need to work on in 2019? So I truly do want to work on those things that maybe you see that need improvement for me. So that's my question for you to ask that person. So here's my question. Do you have the guts to do it? Can you get the guts to do it? I'm going to ask you to do this. And I hope that your experience is as positive as all the people who I've given that advice to in my past. Pretty miraculous things can happen from that conversation. First off, the person that you're asking uncovers and sees that you really care about your job or about that situation, and that you're looking to be a better version of yourself that you are today, looking to self-improve. Nobody would bop you over the nose for that, okay? So here you are, you're going to get this information. Don't get upset about it. Don't make excuses about it. Don't put the blame game. Well, if it wasn't for Johnny, then I wouldn't have that problem, and you're seeing that wrong. Don't get defensive. Take that advice, thank that person for it, and even send that person a thank you. And here's my biggest charge for you. Fix it. No matter what you think, whether it's their perception or not, I want you to fix it. Because one thing that you have when you have the fear to fail is you have to be ready to take positive feedback, negative feedback, and then you need to do something about it. You need to make the change. If it goes against your values and, maybe it's time you leave the job. But if not, can you see it maybe from another vantage point and then hold that person accountable to you? Take that risk and be responsible and say to that same boss or that same person of authority, say, follow up with me in 30 days and let's see if I've changed your perception of that, okay? That's a great question, by the way. If you're ever talking to somebody in authority, the question is this: what can I do to change that perception that you have of me right now? What would I have to do? If you ask them that and they're giving you clarity on it, you're halfway home, okay? I love that. I love that for you. I love that charge. I love the idea, okay? So the last thing that I want to just kind of address, and again, it's a little bit back to, what I struggle with, so I'd love to hear from you if this is something you struggle with too. Please don't be upset with me when I push you and say that you can always be a better expression and version of yourself. Why aren't you ever happy, right? Happiness truly is a state of mind, and aren't we happy when we know we're applying our best to our life? That's what I'm asking you to do. If everybody sees perfection in you and everybody else sees your value and everybody else thinks you're wonderful and you do everything perfectly, congratulations, okay? If everybody literally feels that way about you and you're still kicking yourself in the teeth, feeling like, well, you could have done it in less time, or I missed one bullet point on that slideshow and I forgot, or I misspoke when I said this, you are beating the hell out of yourself, and I want you to stop immediately. So be kind to yourself is the last advice that I have for anybody who has rotten tomato syndrome, okay? Be kind to yourself, love yourself. You are enough, and you are only trying to expand and grow and be the best version of yourself. And that's my video today. This is Jeannie Lynch, love and light. Have a phenomenal first quarter of your year. I appreciate you being part of my community. That happens by liking, subscribing, and sharing. Thanks again. I look forward to seeing you again next video. Jeannie Lynch, trying to change the world one video at a time. Have a great day.